Greetings, brother and Housebugger Donkey here, and I'm sure there are plenty of these videos out there already, because I'm never the first receiving these new things, but I thought I'd make a video about it anyway, because at least it feels like I'm relatively early on this time in receiving a new thing. So as you can see, I have the starter box for Epic Battles Pike and Shotte, Push of Pike from Warlord Games. I also have a 30 Years War Infantry Battalia, and as far as I know, there is really no difference between the 30 Years War Infantry Battalia and the English Civil War Infantry Battalia, except for the flag sheet. So you get this mixed flag sheet, which I don't know what the one for the English Civil War is like, because well, I don't really have much of an interest in the English Civil War personally. In my opinion, that's a very English thing, and I understand why it's popular in the home country of wargaming, but English Civil War has very little impact on anything outside of England, and yeah, I think the 30 Years War is just so much more interesting. But yeah, anyway, what I was going to say is, I don't know how good the flag sheet is for the English Civil War, but the one for 30 Years War is not great. I think this was shown in the War Games Illustrated as well. And you get a mix of flags, but that's kind of the problem, because the 30 Years War saw so many nations, so many regiments, that representing them all with flags is kind of difficult. So I get their problem. I get why they did what they did, but they really gave you just such an absurd mix of flags. I guess we'll just look at the actual sheet when I open it up. So let me just open up the small box first, because why not? Yeah, so I decided to get this, because, as some of you may know, I've said it a couple of times over the life of my channel, that I really like the 30 Years War. I think it's a super interesting period. And I used to have a massive 28mm 30 Years War collection that I then sold off because you just need way too big a table to play 30 Years War scenarios or games on at 28mm. So I wanted to get a smaller scale. I did get some 10 mils at some point. I still have them here, but I'm also going to sell those off, because they're metal figures which are really hard to get now from the UK when you live outside of the UK. And this is perfect, because this gives me pretty much most of what I need, at least to get started. It would be great if they did some expansion for this, some like specifically Spanish units, some Polish stuff maybe. I would like to see some more cuirassiers, because they were actually very important in the 30 Years War. I know there's only like one cuirassier regiment in the English Civil War, but for the 30 Years War you kind of need them. So anyway, this is what you get. You get only 2 sets of the bases. That's interesting. With all the other, or at least with the American Civil War ones, you always got 3 in the brigade boxes. So, bit sparse. I'm sure it's still enough bases. Is it? You need the way they want it based, 2 for the, and then 2. Yeah, okay. So you have enough bases, but it's close. Yeah, interesting. And then you get just 3. Oh my god, are they stuck together? They are stuck together. How? Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. So they have like a peg system now for the sprues. I guess that's really good for the pikes. So you're probably going to get a lot fewer damaged pikes. I think that's actually pretty excellent, because you are going to run into problems with a lot of these really thin extra pikes that you have on the sprue, and these. I mean, I think they look decently sturdy. we'll see. I'm gonna have to paint up a unit, and we'll see how they work out. All right, I'm gonna just use this opportunity to zoom in on one of the sprues. There we go. Turn them the right way around. So we got some buff coats. Got some armored lads, even some with tassets. That's good. And then we got the musketeers. You know, in the beginning I was a bit upset, I suppose, because it looked like there were a lot of Monmouth caps and such, but there really aren't that many. This is actually going to look just fine for 30 Years' War, I think. Obviously, more hats is always better, and more helmets for the 30 Years' War, but yeah, no, they look just fine. Yeah, the command strip is pretty great as well. It's a bit of a shame that there's a lot of unarmored lads on the command sprue. I might have to clip some of the commands out there. Is the flag bent? No, it's not. I might have to clip some of them out, commands, and stick them in the armored sprues, because for the 30 Years' War you kind of don't want them too mixed. You'll have more veteran regiments that are just really heavily armored, and then you have more like quickly raised militia and just sort of new mercenary regiments where you have a lot more unarmored pikemen and soldiers. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But I still really like this sprue. I think the layout is pretty good. I do like that they have single pikemen on there as well. That gives you a lot of sort of flexibility in how you actually base up your troops. I'm going to do, of course, lots of very interesting things with all these miniatures, because, well, I'm going for 30 Years' War, which means I am also going to need different formations. I'm going to need tercios. I'm going to need, Swedish brigades. I'm going to need Dutch battalions. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit more interesting. But yeah, anyway, so this is the flag sheet for the 30 Years' War, and it's nothing special. The paper is just standard printer paper. I think it's not even like the really good kind that flag maker people use. It's just seems pretty. It's nice and matte though, so I guess it's a little bit better than the cardboard ones that you sometimes get. Yeah. So yeah, you have all sorts of stuff. You have Catholic League, you have Imperials, you have your Dutch, you have your Swedish, you have a few just randomly picked out Protestants in there, and just a whole some Bohemian flags, and just a whole French as well. So that it's the whole 30 Years' War represented in, like, what is this, 40, 50 flags, and that just doesn't work, because what do I want with, like, I mean, this is 3 different French regiments, right? So what am I going to do with with one French Battalia? That doesn't do anything, That's like, yeah, and there's not even enough Swedish flags on here to really make a Swedish brigade. Is there? Is like, actually no, there's enough Swedish flag. Okay, the Swedish is fine. You're going to be able to make like 2 Swedish brigades out of them. You have about enough for 1 Dutch battalion. And yeah, I don't know. It's fine, but I'm not super excited by this. I'm probably not going to use most of these, just because I'm going to have to get other flags, and these are just going to look, different from the other ones that I'm going to get. So I don't know, but it's fine. I guess it's a thing they put in the box. All right, now let's have a look at the big box. Where did I put the knife? Doesn't matter. We'll just go no knife. We'll just go violence. Yeah, so I did also make a video back when it was for the ACW, and I should probably say that I kind of changed my opinion on the ACW one now, after all this time, because they did add a second sprue. that has cavalry, skirmishers, sharpshooters, dismounted cavalry, and what else? Something else. Am I missing? Oh yeah, and zouaves. And so you have pretty much all the units covered, right? There's like a few things that you don't have, some specialty units, but most everything is covered. So I would actually now recommend the American Civil War one. I actually think I'll get to that later. Okay, so big box, big contents. Let me just put the lid somewhere. So thank you, Morgan, for packing this. I hope everything's in there. So for the big box, we do get both of the flag sheets. So we do get the 30 Years War one again, which is exactly the same as the one in the Infantry Battalia. And then the English Civil War one, which is just Parliament. Am I seeing that right? I'm sorry, I have to like look at this off camera because the text on it is really small. Does that say Clubmen Regiment? I guess it does. I must admit, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, so we just have Royalist and Parliament flags in here. So if you, I guess if you want, Scott Covenanters, you need different figures anyway. So I'm guessing that's probably going to be something they add later to the line. At least that would be my guess. Right, then we have an assembly and painting guide. I always like stuff like this. I think it's a good idea to have that. I'm not so sure about this basing depiction, because you definitely don't want to stick them on after you grass the base. That seems odd, but I don't know. I mean, it's a really basic painting guide. There's not too much on here. Block colors, details. I mean, I guess it's serviceable, but yeah, maybe something a little bit more elaborate would have been good. But I do like that they give a really nice overview of all the different sort of units, just to show you exactly what everything is supposed to look like once you assemble it. Although it is kind of funny that they show the cuirassier unit, because I don't think you can actually make a full cuirassier unit with this box, or maybe you can. I think that's 2, 4, 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. No, you can't make this unit because I think there's 6 cavalry sprues on here, and there's 2 cuirassiers on each sprue. So even with adding the standard what's it called, the whatever, the banner bearer guy, if you add him, that's still not going to add up. So you don't actually have a full cuirassier unit. So very interesting that they put it on there. But oh well. Yeah, not too bad. Then we got a Pike and Shotte Epic Battles rulebook. I'm very interested to see if this is if there's anything new in here aside from the pictures, because it feels like it's a thick book. And I would assume that all of the like Italian wars and Tudor wars and stuff like that's not in here. So yeah, would be interesting to see. But I'm gonna have to read through that later. It's not gonna happen right now. Then we have some buildings from Sarissa Precision, which is nice. Good to have some terrain. Yep, some yeah, it's a manor house, I think, with some walls. So that's good. We like that. If I can find a place to put it. Right, and then what is this? Okay, so we have some casualty markers. Cardboard casualty markers, very interesting. And this is a quick reference sheet. Yeah. Yeah, all right, that's kind of nice. I like that, actually, that they sort of, I mean, this is, it's the cheapest version of like a board game cardboard inlay that you can get with like markers and stuff, but I still think this is good to just have some of this in there, and it also doubles as like a separator, so That's why the rulebook actually still looks kind of nice, because the sprues weren't rubbing against it, and hopefully all the sprues are unharmed. And they look to be. Yeah, they look... I can certainly tell you that this cavalry sprue looks a lot better than the one I had in Wargames Illustrated, which is located over there. There were quite a few bent and some broken pieces on that one. So we have 3 cavalry sprues in gray, and then 3 in this sort of buff brown color. Yep, and they're all unharmed, which is very nice. And then we have a whole bunch of infantry sprues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm guessing another 7 in gray. And I really do like that they now have like this stacking sprue system. It's so good, especially for something like this with the really sort of you know, fragile pikes, because it hopefully it means that there's nothing bent or broken in here. Oh nope, no, spoke too soon. There's some broken, some bent muskets that I'm gonna have to fix, or some bent arquebuses. Yeah, that's a little shitty. But that's just how it is, I suppose. I mean, you can never really 100%, you know, stop that sort of thing from happening, especially not when you have a box with this much stuff in it. And you know, the price is pretty good, so I'm not gonna complain too much. But that seems to be the only damage. Just those 2 musketeers. Everything on the gray sprue seems to be fine. So yeah, and then we just have an absolute mountain of bases. I wonder how many sprues of bases you get. I'm just gonna have to count them. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. Okay, 21 sprues of bases. The Battalia box had 2 for 3. This is 14, so it should be... my math is awful. It's not quite 5, so it should be 10, 9 of them, so about half, and the rest for the cavalry. That's interesting. So there's definitely more bases in here than there were in the infantry Battalia, but then thinking about it, you do need a lot of bases for the cavalry, actually. For the cavalry sprue, you need quite a few, because, you know, you do have the cuirassiers on here, which will make a unit. You have to... and you have the dragoons, which you need infantry and cavalry bases. So yeah, maybe you do need all of those bases for the cavalry. But yeah. Okay, so now some other stuff that I did want to sort of cover a little bit. The infantry sprue for the Pike and Shotte stuff is great. I've already seen plenty of video of those. They are crisp, they look really nice, the sculpting is good, and it's great that there's extra Pike. The cavalry sprue, which I also got in the Wargames Illustrated, it is not as good, I must say. And I have the same complaint about the cavalry sprue for ACW, which, yeah, the cavalrymen are just a little bit low on detail. Let me just make sure that that they're not suddenly better than the one in Wargames Illustrated. But no, it doesn't seem like it. Yeah. No, there's the same problem that I have that I had with the other one as well. So especially if you look at this horse, you can see that underneath the reins, the area is just filled in. And some of the horses are just so weird looking, like this one. You see the musculature on the front leg is just so odd, and it's here on this one as well. It's like he's riding a cow. The proportions are off on some of the horses. Now, at that scale, and when they're massed up in units, that kind of stuff isn't really going to matter as much, but it does sort of point toward the quality being a little wonky, because And sadly, I don't have a sprue of the ACW Infantry lying around. I think they're in the basement. But if you look at that sprue, there is one mounted cavalry commander, one mounted commander for the infantry on that sprue, and that one does not have those issues. Underneath his reins, it's not filled in. He has plenty of detail on the front, because some of these ones that sort of look forward, you know, like this guy here. You can see him, there you go. He just has a real lack of detail on the front. On the back too, there's a lot of stuff like this, where the gun just extends forever. And it's not a massive deal. I can live with it. Also, this shouldn't be filled in for the culverin. Yeah, for the saker. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. There's just some things about it that I'm not super happy with. But I don't know. I don't know if it's worth to, like, because the thing is, of course, for you people, you know, who live in the UK, you can probably skip the cavalry sprue and then get cavalry from Peter Pig or Steel Fist. I know the infantry from Peter Pig doesn't fit quite as well with this infantry, but the cavalry does. And the Steel Fist cavalry, I think, fits as well. But there's so much on this cavalry sprue, you're going to have to buy a lot of stuff in metals, which is then going to increase the cost quite drastically. So I think it really depends if you can live with that or not. I can. Honestly, the thing I can live with less is that I'm super low on cuirassiers, man. And there's a lot of, like, really sort of, light cavalry, which is more a sort of English Civil War thing, really. Because I'd really want more harquebusiers on here, which I just don't really have. I think there's 5 of them or 4 of them on one sprue. Yeah, and there's just a bunch of this cavalry that I don't know what to do with. I mean, I guess, especially these two. They have no armor whatsoever. You know, they're just coats and saber and pistols. So what am I going to do with them? I mean, 1 or 2 of them can be German Protestant cavalry, because that cavalry was terrible and notoriously lightly equipped. But, like, I'm going to have a load of these sprues at the end. So I don't know. We'll see. But I will say this. The problems with the detail does not really exist on the single cast infantry. The single cast infantry and the cannons on this sprue are actually fine. It's really just a problem with the mounted lads. And it's specifically with the ones that are sort of, looking straight forward. Like this one, for example. You can see right here, there's a lot of dead area here next to his arm. That is just sort of, squeeze cast type stuff. And I think there was one more. Also one guy with a helmet that looked really, really, really not so great. Yeah, this one right here as well. I don't know. I think it's a matter of taste. For me, it's not that big of a deal. I can live with it. But, it would have been nice to get slightly better quality on the cavalry sprues. But I'm still really excited about this project. Probably gonna have to wait a little bit till I really get started. But yeah, I love this period, and this is definitely. I mean, I will say this: for me, there is no real other way to do this period as a miniature project. So I'm happy with this, and I'm just going to have to live with it. I might do an order at some point of Peter Pig or so, just to get some more cuirassiers, because I just don't have enough. I mean, this whole box doesn't even give me 1 unit of fully armored heavy cuirassiers. I mean, I'm sure some of the models, I think some of the cavalry models with helmets, they also have like light cuirasses maybe, or I can at least paint them to have light cuirasses, but it's just not gonna look right. I'm gonna need more cuirassiers. Alright, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, a very long video. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings on this. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's definitely what saves it for me is the price point. I mean, for the whole starter box, I paid 120 euros. That is with the discount from the third-party vendor. But nowadays, for stuff from the UK, that's actually really good. That's actually a really good price. I mean, that is cheaper as well than the Gettysburg set and the old ACW starter set that only had infantry. I think the Gettysburg starter set, the cheapest that I've seen, is 128 euros here. So, you know, I think 120 is great value. And I'm still not convinced by the brigade boxes. You know, getting 3 sprues for 30 bucks. That's a bit, you know. But yeah, all in all, I still think you're going to be able to really get your value with this and have some really lovely games of 17th century Pike and Shotte goodness. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be sure to let you know when I have assembled or painted some of this stuff. Take care, guys.